So imagine you put out a superhero game in 2018 based on one of the most popular superheroes in the world. And your game is a disappointment because you blatantly rip off and do worse what a very innovative and creative developer was able to do 9 years prior in what is arguably the greatest superhero game ever made. I mean, you don't even try to innovate. Your combat system is lifted straight from that previous games, and you don't even tweak it to fit your superhero. All right? And your stealth sections are verifiably, factually inferior to that game's, which literally came out an entire generation previous. But because you are such a scumbag and because your company only cares about money, you then pump out what should have been DLC for that game in the form of its own game, charging an egregious price for it because your new console came out and you had to sell people on the shitty, underpowered hardware. Where do you go from there? You got two disappointing games that have done nothing but deter fans. They were commercial flops, and you've completely ruined your reputation. Where do you go from there? No, you certainly don't try to reclaim your name. You certainly don't try to do what the industry would like you to do, and that's embrace creativity and originality. No, you pump out another game in said franchise to what's undoubtedly going to be an even worse reception, and you bank on the fact that you're going to put the most popular villain from said franchise in the game. Folks, if you don't know what I'm talking about, we're talking about Spider-Man 2's reveal. Talk about the most disappointing game of the entire Sony press conference. I mean, my God, where to even start? Okay, this incarnation of Peter Parker is disgustingly inaccurate. Hashtag not my Peter Parker. I hate what they've done with him. Honestly, the original PS4 version and actor was significantly better, but again, you can only polish a turd up so much. Completely disappointing game. Narratively, they made some very stupid decisions. None of the characters were comic accurate. And then you've got this fucking clown, Miles Morales. Miles Morales, the new Spider-Man, equally as disappointing. Complete failure in his own game. He didn't sell. He didn't move units. Completely overshadowed narratively by the Taskmaster. The boss fights were disappointing. The gameplay, again, unoriginal. If I was WB, I would be suing for copyright infringement with that combat system. But regardless, you know, the Marvel fanboys had hard dicks and cash in their wallets, so they bought both the horribly disappointing 2018 Spider-Man and the equally infuriating Spider-Man Miles Morales. So I'm sure that their low IQ minds are just chomping at the bit to try to get a piece of Spider-Man 2. I mean, what the fuck is up with this Venom incarnation? It is like these folks over at Insomniac never read Spider-Man comics, which is, according to them, this is a comic accurate version. Yeah, bullshit. Bullshit. This Venom looks to be even more of a bigger joke than the Tom Hardy version from the Venom film that came out in 2018. 2018 was such a shitty year for Spider-Man. I mean, think about it. All right, you have this shit video game that came out and completely disappointed all but the most hardcore Marvel fanboys who are still in denial to this day, and they won't acknowledge any of the fatal flaws I've pointed out. And then you had that shitty-ass Venom movie with Tom Hardy who can't act to save his life. That movie should have been even more ridiculous, but they refused to go over the top with it. They refused to give it an R rating. Now both of those things have sequels coming out. What a disappointing time to be a Spider-Man fan. I'll tell you what the best time to be a Spider-Man fan was. That was from 2008, after a horrible, no emotional range Tobey Maguire hung up the Spider-Man suit, to 2013, when Andrew Garfield, aka a god amongst men, took up the web-slinging role and completely dazzled us with not only his quips, not only his portrayal, not only his emotional range as an actor, but delivering the only two, if you want to get technical, best Spider-Man movies that our generation will ever have the pleasure of seeing. Make no bones about it, folks. Spider-Man 2, the game, is going to be a colossal disappointment. And if you think otherwise, you're putting your faith in a company known for disappointments, and you are betting on the wrong horse. Come 2023, which I found hilarious that we're announcing a game more than 2 years out, because you know Sony's going to delay it at least 3 or 4 times like they did with The Last of Us Part 2. You're going to come back to this video, you're going to say, Dead Metal from Dead Metal Media was right. Why the hell didn't I listen to him? Spider-Man from Insomniac is a failure. They should shoot it, kill it dead and completely remove themselves from the franchise and hand it over to a significantly more talented developer like Ubisoft or Electronic Arts who can actually do something with the franchise that would make the fans of both the movies, the games, and the comics satisfied.